what's going on, YouTube? Today we're bringing you the October edition of the Big Pet Data Project. The idea here is to get more concrete data, more concrete numbers when it comes to war pets, specifically two areas. First, the quality of the pets when you catch them, and second, the chances of getting the skill you're aiming for when you release the pet. Now, when it comes to a project like this, the number of iterations you have, the N, if you will, is very important. I'll give you an example. Suppose you're flipping a coin and you want to figure out whether the coin is weighted or whether it's a fair coin, right? It's got a 50-50 chance of heads and tails, or is it weighted to one side? You flip the coin 10 times and it comes up heads 7 times. Does that mean anything? It probably doesn't. That's just noise. The fact that it came up heads 70% of the time in that scenario, it's probably just random chance. It doesn't mean a lot. Okay, let's say you take that same coin and instead of flipping it 10 times, you flip it 10,000 times. And this time it comes up heads 7,000 times, all right? It's the exact same percentage, but the fact that you have such a much larger sample size is very meaningful. That 7,000 heads result is signal, it's not noise. It is telling you that it's a weighted coin that favors heads. Okay, so this is the first month we're doing this. So obviously I've only been collecting data for a couple months now. And the data that I have is just going to get better over time, right? So the more times I do this, the more monthly updates, the data is just going to get more and more refined, and it is going to give you more meaningful results. Okay, like I said, we're looking at two main areas. The first area we're looking at is the quality of the pet when you capture it. When we're looking at the quality of pet, I'm looking at two things in particular. First, what is the rarity of the pet? Is it blue or rare? Is it purple or epic? Or is it gold or legendary? And second, what is the quality of the talent skill, right, when you capture the pet? Now, before we get too deep into this, there is one particular data point that I'm very interested in, and that's the game tells you that when the dragon gets captured in your KVK, after the dragon is captured, all players, regardless of their alliance, regardless of whether they're in the alliance that captured the dragon or not, they're supposed to get much higher quality pets. Now you notice here the language is a little ambiguous. It says all players will have a greater chance of obtaining high level war pets. What does that mean exactly? Like you can you determine the level of the war pet you catch anyway. So does this mean you get higher quality in terms of like the rarity? Does it mean you get higher quality talent skills? So that's why I'm trying to determine here what exactly is the change here after the dragon gets captured. All right, so let's start with the quality of the war pet in terms of, the rarity. Is it rare? Is it epic? Is it legendary?
A suggestion I've gotten is why don't I record the rarity of the pets when I capture them? I mean, I could easily do that. I just don't know if there's any value in that. The other day I got a little excited because I caught 6 flame manticores, and I got 2 rares, 3 epics, and 1 legendary. I'm like, oh, at least, I'll probably get at least a 1-star talent skill on a couple of those. So here are the rares, right? This actually one's pretty good, 1-star intense chain strike. I'll level this up to 1-star and release them both. Other one, okay, no big deal. Here are the epics. Alright, those are all exactly as I caught them. How are any of those epic? Those are all just complete trash. Right, and here's the legendary. I mean, come on. Now, at least, okay, it's got, like, really good agility. Not a very good skill for this pet. But, maybe that's why it tricked the algorithm or whatever. But when you catch a legendary pet, it's just as likely to be complete shit as anything else. So, I don't know that recording the rarity of the pets gets us anything, because even legendary pets can be complete shit.
All right, so I don't know that it is that valuable, the quality of the war pet, you capture it, but I've been tracking this data anyways. So here's what I've got. The vast majority of the war pets I'm capturing in the game right now are the blue or rare quality, all right? Now, if you're lower level, if you're just starting out the game here, you will sometimes catch green war pets at the very low levels. But when you're in the KVK or even in your home kingdom, it's sort of like in an advanced kingdom, everything you catch is going to be at least of the rare quality. Of the war pets I've caught, about 95% of them are blue or rare pets. Only 4% are epic. and only 1% is legendary. Now, the data I have after the dragon capture isn't as robust, but it's largely the same. Post dragon capture, those numbers look like 92% rare captures, 7% epics, and 1% legendary. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know how useful that is. What is more useful, I think, is the quality of the talent skill when you capture it. Now, obviously, with the change that they implemented, some months ago, every war pet is guaranteed to have at least a 0-star talent skill on it. And so this data set right here is the most robust data I have. About 93% of the pets I've caught have a 0-star talent skill. 7% have a 1-star talent skill. And since I've been tracking the data, I have caught exactly 0 pets with either a 2-star or a 3-star talent skill. Now, the most interesting thing here is that after the dragon capture, this has changed actually pretty substantially. Okay, the numbers I have after the dragon capture, my sample size is a little bit low here, so take this with a grain of salt. However, post dragon capture, 75% of the pets I capture are 0-star and 25% are 1-star. That is a pretty significant increase in the 1-stars I'm capturing now that the dragon has been taken. Like I said, data sample isn't so robust here that I'm fully confident in it, but it does seem like the dragon capture makes a pretty significant difference, at least when it comes to the talent skill. Okay, the second big category of data I'm trying to capture is what are the chances I get the skill that I'm aiming for when I release the war pet? And typically what I'm aiming for is the talent skill. Now I have two sort of categories that I try this with. The first I'll call rigging the deck. And basically what I do with rigging the deck is I regenerate the pet down to 2 slots. Then I make the second slot 1-star level higher than the main slot. And then I release the pet and record whether or not I get the talent skill. The second method I refer to coin flips. And with coin flips, I regenerate it down to 2 slots. And then just release the pet. Now, I've seen a couple of customer support responses to individuals that claim when you do the rigging the deck method, the chance of you getting the lower star skill is about a little bit more than 70%. My data largely tracks with this. When I did the rigging the deck method, about 78% of the time I got the lower star skill, the talent skill, which is what I was aiming for, right? Breaking that out in between a 0-star talent skill and a 1-star second slot, I got the talent skill about 80% of the time. In the 1-star versus 2-star realm, I was getting the talent skill about 73% of the time. These are all about what I would expect. I think that 70%, slightly more than 70% number is pretty valid, and it is still valid in the game today. Okay, what about the coin flips? I won my coin flip in terms of getting the talent skill about 43% of the time. Again, given my sample size, that's within the variance you would expect. So I think it is about 50-50. I've often heard people say that they suspect that the game favors the more expensive skill and not just the star level. And so I started breaking out when I did coin flips into 3 categories, right? Category 1 is when I'm flipping against a cheap skill, the 16 coin when you sell it skills. And so the talent skill would be worth more. The second category is when they're about equal. And the third category is when I'm flipping the talent skill against a much more expensive skill, okay? When I'm coin flipping against a cheap skill, I am winning, meaning I'm getting the talent skill about 52% of the time. When I'm flipping against something about equal value, I'm getting the talent skill about 41% of the time. And when I'm doing the coin flip against a more expensive skill, I'm only getting the talent skill about 28% of the time. Now, these are very small sample sizes, and I don't have any, and statistically speaking, I don't have any confidence in these. But to the extent they're indicative of anything, it's not that the game is favoring the more expensive skill. In fact, it seems to be giving me the more expensive skill more often than not. I don't think that's any real signal there. I think that's noise. I think that's random chance. but I do think it is in fact random, a 50-50 flip, and I don't think the game is favoring the cheaper skills over the more expensive skills. Okay, now that's the update for the Big Pet Data project for October. I intend to keep doing this for at least a couple more months to get more data. As I get more data, I'll have more confidence in the numbers that I'm getting and be able to confidently say whether, something is happening or something is not happening. And I'll keep doing this as long as there's some value that I can see to the community in this. If there's a particular data point that you're interested in terms of either capturing war pets or releasing them, let me know in the comments below. And if it is feasible and practical to collect that data, I'll do that to just better enrich this project. And hey, that's all I got for you today. And until next time, you stay classy, Belron.